What if the safest fortress could fall in a single night? On what seemed like just another ordinary evening at the heart of NATO's operations, the largest supply port in the region pulsed with routine. Towers of containers stood neatly in line, guarded by layers of security and discipline so precise, many believed nothing could possibly go wrong. Every movement was tracked, every rule enforced, every document double-checked. For the workers and guards here, this place was a symbol of invulnerability, a fortress where confidence was as high as the concrete walls. Each night was supposed to be predictable, safe. But while order reigned inside, something unimaginable was taking shape beyond the floodlights. In the dark, an unprecedented threat was quietly gathering momentum. It was a plan so meticulous that not a single sign betrayed its approach, and so daring that it targeted the very backbone of military power in the region. The truth is simple and terrifying. If this fortress could fall in just one night, then nowhere is truly safe. The loss would not just be measured in weapons, vehicles, or supplies. It would erode trust, cripple vital operations, and expose the harsh reality. When the unthinkable becomes possible, the world changes overnight. Let's step inside the port and unravel how this fortress, built on certainty, became the target of a strike that would shock the entire alliance. Inside those walls, every routine task masked a hidden vulnerability. Let's follow the nightly rhythm of the port and see how the illusion of control left NATO exposed. Every fortress has a routine, but routines can be exploited. Klaipėda's port stretches along the cold Baltic shore, a labyrinth of towering containers stacked in precise, unwavering rows. Every movement here is mapped, every shift calculated, a choreography enforced by tight security and constant surveillance. Behind these steel walls lies more than cargo. Thousands upon thousands of weapons, armored vehicles, and communications equipment are stockpiled for the next call to the front lines. It is not just a warehouse, but the beating logistical heart of NATO's eastern flank. The staff walk their rounds with a quiet pride. For them, the depot is a fortress, orderly, invulnerable, and essential to the alliance's mission. They trust in their routines, believing that disaster is something that happens elsewhere, to someone else. But the truth is stark. Losing this hub would tear a hole through military operations, costing not just millions in gear, but months of strategy, and tarnishing hard-won reputations. The stakes are nothing less than the credibility and readiness of an entire coalition. The gleam of discipline, the scent of machine oil, the beeping monitors in the control room, all mask a single critical vulnerability, a pattern that an enemy could study and break. The port's security is formidable, but history has proven that no defense is absolute. While the night shift settles into its rhythm, unseen eyes are watching, and meticulous plans are already in motion. Tonight, as routine masks looming danger, a shadow team prepares to rewrite the fate of the depot and the alliance itself. What does it take to bring down the unbreakable? It starts with patience, discipline, and eyes that see everything. For weeks, a covert, highly trained team watched the port from the shadows, mapping every patrol's rhythm, every camera's blind spot, every gap in the security web. They charted the wandering paths of guards, logged the arrival and departure of trucks, and studied the dance of container cranes moving precious cargo. Nothing escaped their notice, not the flicker of a light, not the pause in a shift change, not the subtle patterns in logistics schedules. Every second was measured, every routine dissected until routine itself became their weapon. Their arsenal was silent. Electric vehicles gliding without a sound, drones painting the terrain in real time, and advanced electronics designed to slip past alarms without a whisper. With each scouting flight, with every line of intercepted code, the plan sharpened. They rehearsed not just the route, but the timing, down to the precise moment when the eyes of security would blink away. Nothing was left to chance. A single mistake, a misstep, a stray signal, a second too soon or too late, would mean exposure. Discovery here would not just foil the operation, but spark a manhunt, perhaps even war. But success? Success would do more than scatter debris. It would cripple the alliance's supply chain at its heart, severing the lifeline that fed an entire military front. The targets were not chosen at random. Deep inside the depot, beyond the reinforced walls and digital locks, lay the core of Nato's logistics. Racks of encrypted communications gear, precision-guided munitions, and fuel for every armored column eastward. To outsiders, these were steel boxes. To the saboteurs, they were the hinges on which the future of the conflict would swing. When the hour finally struck, everything moved as if choreographed. Patrols vanished from their posts for mere seconds, cameras froze on looping feeds, and remote locks fell open. With practiced efficiency, the team slipped inside, planted their charges at points calculated for maximum disruption and minimum collateral, and vanished, leaving only the faintest trace. The difference between order and chaos was measured in seconds. Soon, the meticulously planned impact would unleash a storm no one saw coming. But what exactly happens when careful intent collides with raw destruction? The aftermath would rewrite the rules of military security and reshape the fate of an entire alliance. When order turns to inferno in seconds. A sudden series of precise explosions rip through the heart of the NATO depot. The most valuable storage sections, crates packed with advanced missiles and encrypted communications gear, are consumed in a blinding chain reaction. Each blast triggers another, racing down the rows of containers until the night sky is lit with towering fireballs. Within moments, routine collapses into chaos. Alarms blare, and staff stumble through smoke-filled passageways, desperate for cover. Security teams, who moments before trusted the integrity of their fortress, are thrown into panic, unable to contain the escalating disaster. Massive fires rage unchecked as secondary detonations shake the foundations of the port. The entire operation grinds to an immediate halt. Trucks, cranes, and rail lines, everything needed to move critical supplies eastward, stand frozen beneath a swirling haze of ash. Emergency services rush in, but the damage is already irreversible. Water cannons struggle against chemical-fueled flames. The heat bends steel and shatters glass. In a single hour, years of stockpiling, planning, and investment are reduced to smoldering wreckage. An invisible shockwave ripples outward. Military leaders scramble to assess losses, while supply chains across Europe judder and fracture. Operational plans unravel, units at the front wait uncertainly, and confidence in the alliance's logistical backbone is shaken to its core. News of the strike spreads instantly across the globe. Images of the blazing depot fill screens from Washington to Warsaw. The psychological blow is immediate. Panic, speculation, and doubt ripple through command centers and political circles alike. This is more than just the loss of weapons and equipment. It is a rupture of trust, a demonstration that even the most fortified strongholds can fall. In the aftermath, the balance of power feels suddenly, terrifyingly fragile. But as the smoke settles, a new and even more daunting challenge emerges. The fight to rebuild and restore what was lost, under the eyes of a watching world. The true cost of that single night's disaster is only just beginning to surface. Within hours, NATO command realized the attack was no random act of violence. It was a deliberate, expertly coordinated strike. Every long-held belief about the security of their supply lines shattered instantly, leaving leaders questioning the very foundations of their defensive network. Urgent meetings erupted across continents. Officials scrambled to assess the scale of the losses, to reroute precious supplies, and to hunt for alternative pathways to keep the front line supplied. But the numbers were staggering. Millions lost in materiel, months of carefully stockpiled weapons and equipment vanished in a matter of minutes. Critical resources, ammunition, vehicles, advanced communications gear were gone. Frontline operations stalled. Troops awaiting resupply found themselves vulnerable, their missions hanging by a thread as the logistical backbone that supported them was torn away. Panic spread like wildfire through NATO headquarters. The rush to restore logistics and rebuild trust revealed deeper fractures, as allies questioned whether their own depots might be next. Every hour of uncertainty sent ripples through the alliance, eroding both morale and credibility. On the world stage, the reputational blow was immediate. The media broadcast images of smoldering ruins. Analysts debated NATO's exposed flanks. For adversaries, this was not just a victory. It was an open invitation to exploit new weaknesses. Experts warned bluntly, no site, no matter how fortified, is truly safe if the enemy is patient, cunning, and technologically adept. The myth of invulnerability dissolved overnight, replaced by a chilling recognition of how a single well-planned attack can paralyze an entire alliance. Now, every delay and misstep threatens to spiral into further crisis, undermining not just current operations, but global trust and future deterrence. The alliance faces a harsh new reality. It is not just the lost supplies that sting, but the strategic uncertainty that lingers. So what hard lessons can be drawn from this disaster? And is there any hope of preventing a repeat? The search for new solutions begins right now. When the unthinkable happens, only adaptation saves you. The destruction of NATO's largest supply depot in Klaipėda proved that no wall is high enough, no code complex enough, and no routine predictable enough to guarantee safety forever. For years, this port stood as a symbol of order and confidence, a fortress of logistics, watched by experts, protected by layers of technology, and trusted by the alliance's best. Yet in a single night, a handful of dedicated adversaries exposed the truth. All defenses are temporary. This is the harsh lesson of modern security. Complacency is the greatest enemy, whether you are defending a port, a nation, or even your own digital life. Every day without change is a day the threat evolves, searching for a crack to exploit. The Klaipėda attack was not just about physical destruction. It was about the sudden unraveling of months, even years, of careful preparation. Overnight, reputations, resources, and the very balance of power were thrown into doubt. No fortress is ever truly impregnable. The attackers studied every routine, every camera angle, every patrol, proving that what is invisible today may be tomorrow's obvious weakness. True security is not a destination, but a process, a mindset of constant vigilance and relentless improvement. If the world's most fortified logistics hub can fall in a matter of minutes, what does that say about the rest of us? The cost of standing still is paid in lost time, lost trust, and sometimes in lost lives. Only those who are willing to evolve, to learn from chaos, and to adapt in the face of shock, can hope to survive the next threat.